Well, hello, here we are outside the Armadale State Library. And guess what? It is closed. Armadale Library is closed today, Saturday, 8th of November, 2025. What's the explanation for the closure? Nobody knows. No one's been told. In fact, there was a group out here earlier who had a booking at the library and they were not informed that the library was closed. So they turned up wondering, when are they going to let us in for the library? No. Normally it is open Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m, but today it is closed. What possibly could be the reason? We just don't know. Well, we're going to ask the CEO on Monday when we have a council meeting and find out why are they closing the library without any explanation. There'll be a very interesting answer that we get from their CEO. Until then, we'll move right down to the Memorial Park and see what's happening down there.
Yep, go. Welcome. We are here in the city of Armadale, standing outside the Armadale Shopping Centre in support of this gentleman here, Declan Mansfield. Declan Mansfield worked at the City of Armadale Library for 15 years as a library clerk. Until recently, he was essentially forced out of that position because he found that the training that he was required to do, the D.E.I training, was full of woke ideology. And so he refused to do the training, he was pressured, he thought the environment was toxic, and he felt that he could no longer work in that place anymore. And so what we're doing is supporting his action against the City of Armadale, because they are going to take them to the State Administrative Tribunal and take their case up. This action has been brought also by the Free Speech Union of Australia, and they're the ones who applied for this permit for this rally. And so we are here as supporters of the Free Speech Union because they believe in free speech. Declan would write articles for the Spectator magazine, which obviously didn't go down too well at the City of Armadale. And therefore they put pressure on him. They made him an outcast in his own work environment. And because of that, he could no longer work there in a capacity which was going to be safe for his mental health. So he was forced out, and we are coming here today to support Declan. And interesting point here is that we went up to the library to see what was going on, and we found out that the library is closed today. Now, the library is actually supposed to be open all Saturday, but it is closed. No explanation has been given as to why the library has been closed. We spoke with some people who said that they had a booking at the library today, but they were not informed that the library was closed. Why is the library closed? Don't they believe in free speech? Maybe they heard about our little rally here and thought, oh, we don't want anyone hearing about what's really going on, and we'll get triggered and feel bad. So we're just going to close the library. What happens if we have a protest every single day? Are they going to close the library indefinitely? We will find out, because we're going to go up to Armadale Council and we're going to ask them about why they closed the library today, because no explanation has been given. So that's why we're here today. If you've got any questions, come and talk to us. We've got a documentary to share with you. There's a QR code which you can click on and hear Declan speak himself, so you know what actually he's talking about. And more people are coming. Good to be with you today. We're going to have some speakers later on, and right now that was just an introduction, so you know why we're here. Any questions, come on down. We're friendly people, and we want to tell you what's going on in the world. You won't hear about this in the mainstream media. Thank you. Well, welcome back. Here we are with our first speaker of the day, and I'd like to introduce to you Sophia Mormont, who was a Member of Parliament, member of the Legislative Council for Western Australia, and also a former a person involved in the health industry. So, like your t-shirt, no, I will not comply. Sophia, can you tell us why you are here today and what would you like to just talk to us about today?
Thank you, Stuart, for the introduction, and also thank you for the t-shirt as well. So thank you to all the people for coming here. Right, much appreciate your support, and I'm sure Declan does too. So why we're here today is really to support Declan, but also to highlight the reason of why he got into trouble at work. So he's fighting against the city of Armadale because he lost his job for pointing out that D.E.I education, or re-education really is what we should call it, was politically charged. And that's not right. So libraries are supposed to be politically independent, and their role is to provide us with books to read. It's that simple. We are not there to participate in the activism of librarians. They can be activists, but that is not part of their role. They need to do that outside of work. Interestingly enough, we are here near the Library of Armadale, and they have closed for today. They're supposed to be open, but they've decided to close because we are obviously very dangerous individuals speaking about freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and to not have to be political at work. It's bizarre. All right, now, one of the things that we know that there is a political background to DEI training is that it's not based in reality. There's no science, there's no actual facts, and all of us actually do know what a woman is and what a man is, and telling us that we are wrong when we are clearly not is political. All right, now one of the terms of the DEI is diversity, and diversity was a term initially created to make sure that people with different skin colours, women and people of different abilities would be included. It was never meant for people with a gender identity, and in particular what we're looking at is men with psychosexual behaviours, which is a fancy term for fetishes. Yeah, I don't want to know about your fetish. I cannot emphasize enough my lack of interest in what you do in the bedroom and who you do it with. I don't care. I do not want to be confronted with that in my life as I'm going about shopping or in my job even. I even don't care what you wear. You do you, right? But that doesn't mean I have to validate you or should be forced to call you wrong pronouns. You don't get the right to decide to tell me to lie. It's that simple. So unfortunately now both the term diversity and, because of that, also the rainbow have now been tarnished. So whenever I see either one of those, I know I am excluded. Me and my opinions are not welcome. Now my opinions are reality based, by the way. No one can change sex. No one is born in the wrong body. It is that simple. Now, I've been aware of the incursion of men into women's spaces for over 15 years now. So I was early on board with that, and I thought it was ridiculous. Yeah, we are very different. We have different needs, and when you look at, say, sports, there are obvious physical differences that means that women and girls should have their own sports categories away from men. Same with women's prisons, right? A lot of the women in prison are vulnerable. They have experienced male sexual violence, and now we are housing males who identify as women in female prisons. Interestingly enough, about 80% of those men who identify as trans who are in prison are there for sex-based crimes. So we are now seeing an increase in women falling pregnant in prison and an increase in sexual assault by those men of those women in prison. And that is a clear violation of their human rights. We have to fight that. Now, there's also zero proof that there is such a condition as trans. There is actually no condition which requires gender-affirming care, which is surgical removal of genitalia or cross-sex hormones. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It is ideologically based, and it is a movement that is being pushed by predatory men with a lot of money who simply want to reduce safeguarding of women and children. It's that simple. The term gender dysphoria, which has been taken up in the DSM-5, is now thought to be a bogus diagnosis put there for insurance fraud. There is no such thing as gender, therefore you cannot have a gender identity disorder either. And all the conditions that contribute to that diagnosis can be treated with things like therapies for depression, anxiety, PTSD. A lot of these people are on the spectrum as well. So previous diagnoses cover a gender dysphoria diagnosis very well. So, like I said, there's actually no proof for that at all, but it is very costly for us nonetheless. In my research too, it became clear that gender ideology and trans thinking is regressive, homophobic and misogynistic. So homophobic because lesbians are being told that they have to date men who identify as women. So these are heterosexual men and they need to be included in the lesbians dating pool. So when you look at the ideology of the T, it is based on the denial of biological sex as real, right? Whereas when you look at the LGB, that is very clearly based on the understanding that biological sex is the basis for sexual attraction. So the LGB and the T have opposing points of view, with the LGB being based in reality and the T simply being an ideology, a lie even. So when you're looking at regressive stereotypes and when you're looking at the men who identify as women, they will wear makeup, they will wear hypersexualized clothing, they will wear big nails and high heels and say that that is what makes them a woman. Now, as a woman without makeup, with short hair, definitely lacking high heels in my wardrobe because they're very uncomfortable, right? Wearing pants a lot of the time, I can tell you that none of those external things, my hairstyle, my makeup, my nails, none of those make me female. It is simply being born in a female body. That's why I'm a woman. So, and when we're looking at the definitions of things, right? Oh, sorry. There's this fly that's really annoying, just so you know, okay? So when we're looking at this, we're looking at the ideological capture of people in institutions, of parents and of children. And ideological capture is a very dangerous state of mind, because what that allows for people to do, they feel they are right. Their self-righteousness allows them to display behaviours that are not acceptable in our society. So one example of that is in the library here, that the librarians who didn't like certain gender-critical books decided to put them in the wrong spot in the library, so they couldn't be found if someone came in. They also hid books behind the shelves as well. That kind of behaviour is unacceptable, right? And like I said earlier, that activism does not belong in your job. It's fair enough if you don't agree. There are many books I don't agree with. There are all sorts of things I don't agree with. But it's not my right to stop you from having access to those things. So you cannot bring that to your job. Now, hiding books is still fairly innocuous. Right? This goes a lot deeper with the ideological captured mind, where we are looking at violence against women who are gender critical being justified and encouraged. We are looking at a woman working for the BBC who had a wrong facial expression. There was an article, she was reading it out, and instead of pregnant people, she said pregnant women. And she raised her eyebrow, and that got 20 complaints that has been taken seriously by the BBC. Wild. So wrong think and wrong facial expressions are punishable. It leads to cancellation. But this goes further still. 7 months ago in the UK, it was deemed by the Supreme Court there that when we talk looking at woman in law, it means adult human female, right? It still hasn't been implemented. There are still men in women's spaces in the UK because people feel they know better than the law. They feel that they have the right to ban or to allow men in, even though the law now clearly says that's not the case. So that is problematic. In the US, we're seeing a similar thing as well, where judges are going against Trump's directives. Now, it's irrelevant whether you agree with Trump or not. That doesn't make any difference. The fact is that he's the president there, and if he puts out directives, they should be followed there. And that's not happening. So when we're looking at ideologically captured minds, what we are looking at is a very similar pattern that happened in Nazi Germany. Right? They weren't bad people, they were just captured, and that ideological capture allowed them to end up doing the most heinous of crimes. And this is the reason why we need to speak out against ideologies. Not just this one. Net zero is an ideology. The strong belief in vaccinations is an ideology. There is plenty of science showing that those belief systems that support those things are simply incorrect. The facts aren't there to prove it. They are lacking facts. It's not reality-based. So I would like to thank Declan for having the bravery to speak out. And I would like to say to all of you, right, also speak out against the ideological capture. Use facts, use reality, be brave. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sophia. Mike's gone. Oh, here it comes. Thank you so much, Sophia. Quite right. And the fact that the library is closed is another example of their ideological bent against anything which may question what they think. And it's actually more like a cult. And if you disagree with a narrative, this is an example of self-censoring. They're actually trying to censor us, but they're also self-censoring and censoring the good people of Armadale as well.
Absolutely, yeah. The truth isn't dangerous. The truth is simply the truth. And if you are frightened of the truth, if the truth threatens your belief systems, then you need to revisit your belief systems. I mean, look at us. We're a bunch of middle-aged people, right? We haven't come with any weapons or anything like that. We are just using our voice, and we have enough power to shut down a library. It's crazy. It is nuts, right? Words.
Well, they think we're extremely dangerous people, and it's actually projection. They're the ones who are dangerous because they are censoring the truth and censoring free speech.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, friends of freedom. I'm here as Vice President of the Libertarian Party WA to stand with Declan Mansfield, a man punished not for what he did, but for what he thought. Declan refused to recite ideology in a taxpayer-funded library. He spoke truth in The Spectator, and the city of Armadale responded with gossip, smears, and a forced resignation. This is not inclusion, this is coercion. State institutions must remain neutral, not classrooms for activists or podiums for personal opinions. Your rates should fund books and services, not political re-education. Freedom of speech is not the property of the loudest ideology. It belongs to every citizen, especially the quiet librarian who dares to dissent. Declan's fight is our fight. Neutrality is liberty's last line of defence. Stand with Declan. Demand neutrality, defend free speech. The Libertarian Party stands with Declan, and we will always stand in defence of free speech. Thank you.
1 hour later,